Good evening, everybody. I have to say that one of the great things is coming here to the Outpost. I don't know if I've been here 15, 20 times. Moved here in 2001. And this has been a great place to come and share all sorts of projects. We've done all sorts of stuff together. And I just, Tom has given so much life, blood, and energy into this place. And, we are the human beings that have benefited from it over all the many years. In a lot of ways, I think that we have as rich of a musical scene in New Mexico, partly because of the presence of the Outpost. And so I'm very, very grateful always to come here, this great venue, great place to share these things. This is a brand new project for us. Delbert and I have been wanting to play together for a long time. Delbert Anderson, if you don't know, is one of our great musicians here in New Mexico, superhero. And I'm absolutely thrilled that he's here in the band. So Delbert Anderson you'll be hearing tonight. Also, one of Santa Fe's great young players, Cyrus Campbell, will be playing bass. And here in your own home, Jonah Minkus will be playing drums. And we're truly a multi-generational band, and it's just been great fun. As Tom said, last night was our first time kind of taking this music out for a spin, and we did it in Reno. and we did not have a big audience, and it was a big, funny space. But there were 4 or 5 people in the space who were really into it, and it's funny. You don't have to have a big audience; you just have to have a few people who are loving it, and it makes all the difference in the world. So. We're really excited, and okay. I'm going to tell you what this music is. So just before COVID came along and changed all of our lives, right? And I was like, oh my God, who am I now? And my daughter had just graduated from high school and was going to college, and I was like, okay, I kind of did that. I don't have a stay-at-home child anymore. And over the years, I've done many, many different things. I've written movie soundtracks and orchestra pieces, and I've run a nonprofit in Santa Fe called Little Globe for almost 20 years. And I was like, it's time to go back into this full music thing, and I wonder if I have it in me. And somebody said, hey, there's this Death Valley residency. You ought to check it out. And it was for January, and I thought, oh, my God, that's perfect. I can go to the desert for a month. I love the desert. And I can write music and see what comes. Maybe something will come, and I'll be back into the flow of things. And so I applied to the residency, hit submit, and immediately discovered I was applying for the wrong year. It was for the next year, and I was like, oh, no, this January would have been perfect. So I said, okay, I'll just do it myself. I know how to camp. And so I thought, what do I need? Well, so I started looking at maps. And all the different maps, I had one set of maps that showed cell phone service, which was probably the most important thing, was that there's no cell phone service. I don't know about you guys, but my life has been significantly altered by the smartphone. To have no smartphone distraction would be great. No people. I wanted to go a place where I could feel kind of safe, that there would be no human beings, where I could be up against cliffs and I could play the saxophone. I wanted to play the low B flat on the tenor saxophone for weeks, because that's kind of, you build the instrument from the bottom up. And so I started looking around to see where there was, and there was only a few places where it was way off the beaten track but accessible. And I ended up finding this place, the Berry Goldwater Missile Range in southwestern Arizona. It's south of Yuma. And it truly is a missile range. But the range that's all around here is called the Tinajas Altas, which means the high water jugs. And the Tinajas are filled. It's white granite, and it's crystallized in a way that it holds these pockets of water. And so the playas down at the bottom are absolutely scorched. It's the hottest, driest, most dangerous place in the United States. It's right on the border. They don't bomb the range, but they bomb the playas. And it's white granite. And I'll tell you more about white granite. And as you can see right here, this was my access road. The tire tracks are only my own, and I saw it on Google Maps, and I thought I probably could drive up that wash 5 or 6 miles and be totally away from any human beings at all. And I ended up finding a camp where for 5 miles between this little spur called Vopoki Ridge and the main range. It's about 5 miles in that space there, which you see here to the right. And then between the range itself and the sort of the end of Vopoki was a big space, maybe 40 square miles, where there were 0 human beings. And I could play low B flat on the horn, and nobody would hear me but the critters, and there were lots of critters. And so I went out there and started writing music, and it came right away. And so tonight's going to be a showcase of the pieces I wrote, the video I shot when I wasn't writing music, and the stories of the pieces that came from this experience. So we're going to start off with a piece called Verde. Oh, well, let me show you. Let's see. I'll show you a couple little things. Hang on for a sec. Okay, here we go. All right, so that's my camp. I set up a tent to be safe from the wind and the sun. Little folding table. A melodica requires no electricity, and so I wrote most of the music on the saxophone, the melodica, and singing into my phone. So you'll hear a bunch of stuff I sang into my phone. I put up a tent, but very rarely used it, only in the wind, and the wind ruined my life over and over again. And that was it. I cooked on the campfire every night. That's me sleeping outdoors. And everybody says, aren't you afraid of sleeping outdoors? And with the exception of one coyote that would scare the heck out of me about every 2 or 3 days at 2 o'clock in the morning by just doing that wilding sound, about 20 feet away. For the most part, it feels like the safest place in the world. And every morning I would go up and check email and texts and just make sure everybody's okay. And I could go up to the ridge here, and the sunrise would come up over the range. And so you can see here, that's the Vopoki Ridge kind of surrounding me. So, so we're going to do Verde. So that's my composition table there in camp. Rocks were very important because it was windy, and the wind would blow everything all over the place. I ended up having to put rocks on my stove, and also this plexiglass. I put plexiglass on top of the music. I'd find myself sometimes in the middle of the night, it would be so windy I couldn't sleep, and I'd get up and I would, in the wind and the sandstorm, I would find myself writing music. And bizarre experience. And outside of camp, every little while I'd have to go back into Yuma, which is on the border of this incredibly beautiful place. And I would use Yuma as a place to go and get fresh fruit and vegetables, to replenish water and things like that. And so I would have the strange experience of going from total isolation and wilderness to the strange world of Yuma. And so you'll be seeing images of Yuma in this piece, Josh, which was a melody that just came into my head while walking around shooting video. So it's called Windy Josh. And you'll be seeing images not just of Yuma, but actually one of the funny things is every time as I've been presenting these pieces, I keep accumulating new video material, and you'll see some of the stuff that I even shot last week. You'll see in this one, though, not only will you see Yuma, you'll also see the wonderful Bakersfield, which is a city surrounded by oil fields. So this is featuring Yuma and Bakersfield, I think. I think so. Anyway, you'll see. Whatever you see, that's what you'll see. So this is called Windy Josh. about this band. Oh my God. I'm so psyched to be playing with these guys. Okay, so this next one is brand new. Like, I wrote it last weekend. Also, the video is brand new. Wait, that's not true. No, the video's old, music's new. Let's see, what is it? Okay, so this is a piece called Fanfare and Apology, and I wrote it in the Aspens last weekend. And you'll see more about that later on. Right now, though, I wanted to introduce you to the missile range again. That was just outside camp. I'd walk around the desert, and there would be all the spent munitions. And in order to get a permit to go to the missile range, you have to agree to not touch all the unexploded ordnance. I was also totally surrounded by places that would have these signs that would say, "Do not enter, danger of death, laser range." And so it was a very strange place to be. And so you'll be seeing more about the range, but you'll also be seeing Trump's Wall. So it's it's such a strange mixture of things to be in this place. I was 5 miles from the wall, and they had just finished it when I first got there. It wasn't actually finished at all, but they'd cut right through the Granite Mountains, and you'll see images of that. But also, I mean, what a great thing to be living in the midst of saguaros, these beautiful saguaro cactuses. So you'll see both of those things. Yeah, so this is Fanfare and Apology. Brand new piece, brand new. Okay, so the next one is about springtime in the desert. This is, you would think the starkest place in the United States wouldn't be filled with beauty, but it really truly is. And in particular after the rains, and it rains in January, the flowers come out. And with the flowers come all the critters. You'll see critters and flowers. And one day I was writing in this little arroyo, and surrounded by flowers, and I was trying to concentrate, and there was this sound, and I thought, what's that sound? And it sounded like this. It was like, and I was looking around, I was like, what the heck is that sound? And I looked down, and there were ants, of course, there's ants in the desert, and there was a Sonoran honeysuckle that was blossoming, and you'll see images of it. And the petals were falling off, and these little tiny ants the petals are about that long, and these little ants were pulling the petals across the arroyo and to the ant nest, and trying to get these little petals down into the hole. And so you'll be seeing the toil of these ants and these flower petals. So this piece is called Teabag. It's about drinking tea in the desert. Okay, so another critter story. So my first camp was actually here. I searched around for camps before settling in on the Barry Goldwater Missile Range. First of all, I went to the Anza Borrego Desert in California, and I found this beautiful place. This is back behind a butte. No people. There's barely a single track that leads into this bowl here, and it was a perfect place to set up camp and be for a few days. And I think it was maybe 8 days I was there. And I was really prolific. I was really writing music, and I was really excited about it. And this one morning, I was sitting there writing away, and I hear the sound of a single honeybee. And, you know, it's not a place you'd expect to see honeybees. Super dry there. And I didn't think much of it, and so then I went back to my work. And about 2 minutes later, there was the sound of 2 honeybees. And I thought, okay, something's going on. Kept working. 2 minutes later, there were about 5 honeybees. And it's, you know, the sound of the honeybees. Actually, everybody play a semitone around concert C sharp. Like, it's not like all their wings kind of buzz at different tempi, and so there's these semitones that result. It creates anxiety in the brain. And I thought, well, this isn't good. So I got to see what was going on. And I had left a couple of ounces of water in my teapot that morning. And it hadn't rained in 11 months, and they had found the water. And so here's actually a video of them. I mean, basically what happened is I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I poured the water out of that and into a bowl just to see what was going on and try to get them out of the teapot. And all of a sudden, everybody's there, and it's me and the bees. So here's a video of that. Okay, so there they are. And it started off just a few bees, but over the course of about 20 minutes, the entire hive came. And I thought, oh my God, this is not good at all. Yeah, there's my setup. And so what I did is I said, you guys are thirsty. I'm trying to write music in peace. We can work this out. And so I poured water into a bowl, and I took the bowl way outside of camp, and I left that way out there. And I thought, you guys go do your water thing. You can have as much water as you like. I'm going to do my thing. And they just triangulated between the water and me. And everybody came, and for 3 days, that's what we did. And I wasn't going to give up, nor were they. And every day I would try to hike further out of camp to avoid them, and they would eventually find me. And the very last day, the third day, where I just couldn't stand it anymore, I went out. There was almost no shade at all except for the shade of this one Ocotillo tree, this big old Ocotillo. And I sat down in my camp chair with the melodica, and I wrote this piece. It's called Ocotillo and Sunbeam. Cyrus Campbell on the bass. Okay, so another song. This one is called Complimentary Microwave. And it was written with a microwave. I was driving back from the desert, I think it was last year, and I stopped in a motel for the night to take a shower finally. and it had I wanted a cup of tea, and there was no coffee pot or but there was a microwave. And flash flood warning. Wow. Okay. Actually, the last time that we played that song, there was you remember that? There was a crazy rainstorm here with James Emery. We played Ocotillo here during a crazy rainstorm, so maybe a year ago. Anyway, so the microwave, as it turns out, all of our devices make these different sounds. This happened to make a B flat major chord first inversion. And it was a wonderful thing to sing with. And I sang this song, and this is called Complimentary Microwave. This will be accompanied by some flowers in the desert. Thank you. It's so weirdly appropriate to have to have beautiful nature and crickets and emergency broadcast systems. That's the 21st century for you. Okay, this next piece is actually written in Cork, Ireland in 2005. This is an old piece called Green. And it's an old piece accompanied by a brand new video. This is video that I shot just last weekend in the high alpine region of southern Colorado, where I watch a little tiny cabin. And here it is. It's Continental Divide. So total different thing than the deserts. There it is. And it's a place where there's a very short summer. I think there's 6 weeks between snows. And so when you go up there, it's all marsh, it's all water. There's a huge number of elk up there. And so you'll be seeing all that. This is sort of following the pathway from the very tops of the mountains down to where the cabin is, down in the aspens. And this piece is called Green, appropriately. Okay, so back to the desert for our last piece. This one's called Granite, and it is in honor of the beautiful world of granite, and the discovery of the white, amazing, beautiful. The thing about granite is it makes really good gravel, and when it rains, it doesn't become mud; it just sinks down. When it's windy, it also doesn't make a lot of dust, and also the great thing about white granite gravel is that at night, even by starlight, you can see the ground. And I found myself walking through the desert just by starlight. You can see all the little creosote bushes, and you can see the saguaros, and you can very clearly distinguish the ground. And I found myself walking and singing and writing a lot of these songs, this being one of them, and it's called Granite. And also, I returned last spring to the desert with my daughter, who at that point was 21, and we spent a week in this place. It was the first time I had shared it with anybody. And you'll see her featured at the very end, but I shot time-lapse of our last day there. So it's a very beautiful place. Tinajas Altas is the mountain range. And before we do this, I just want to say huge thanks to the Outpost for having us. And again, amazing community asset. Thank you all of you for being here tonight. Drive safely home when you do head home. And I just want to reintroduce the amazing band, Delbert Anderson on the trumpet. The ever-enchanting Cyrus Campbell on the bass. The seductively inscrutable Jonah Minkus on the drums. And I'm tonight's filmmaker, Chris Jonas. Thank you so much. Thank you. Delbert Anderson on the trumpet. Cyrus Campbell on the bass. Jonah Minkus on the drums. And I'm Chris Jonas. Thank you so much, everybody.